Hey everyone, my name is Mundane Matt, one of the most red-pilled motherfuckers around. Turn off that pesky ad block. 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 Turn off that pesky ad block.
All right, folks, and we are live. And I guess we'll take the starting soon down. The starting soon, we'll take that down. Ready. So, Aaron Clary messaged me the other day that he can't hear me. I know this is a little softer than when I used to do the regular Streamlabs in like Google Hangouts, but it's not that bad. So I'm blaming some of this on Aaron Clary's, whatever he's ripping the audio off of. Now, I know on the gaming streams there was problems where you couldn't hear me because the game volume was too loud and stuff like that. But the regular streams, you should be able to hear me just fine. So, I think that's just old man Aaron. Can't quite hear that good no more. Because he is like 104. Fun fact about it. He looked really good for his age, but he's like 104. People asking what the music was earlier. That was just Super Smash Brothers Wii U soundtrack. I clicked on that. So just a bunch of older songs remixed, I guess, then. Alrighty. Shit. I haven't had a chance to catch it yet, but I know Arjun did a big hour-long stream on dissecting Mundane Matt's narcissism and stuff, so I do want to check that out. But of note, Angry Joe just put out a video here recently, and I guess we'll bring it up. Let's bring this up. So Angry Joe puts out a video, and he's defending the EA shit. Right? Let's go into my history. I didn't really watch it because I don't watch Angry Joe because Angry Joe's a retard. Like I used to like Angry Joe for like a hot minute when I first found him. Okay, so like I said, when I first found him, I mean the guy does have a certain charming guy does have a certain charmingness about him. A certain charm about him. But he's a massive fucking idiot. And he's a massive fucking shill. And he's mad that, okay, so for those of you that don't know, maybe you don't play Battlefield because you have fucking taste. And Battlefield 5, I think it's World War I, maybe it's World War II. It's always like World War II or World War I with these fucking games. Anyways, it's got like, even though it's like World War I or some shit like that, it's got like a fucking trans otherkin, disabled woman of color on the fucking cover or some shit like that. Like, yeah, no, the Great European War, there was a whole lot of fucking, whole lot of women of color in there. I'm pretty sure Aretha Franklin, a few people know this about her. She actually was one of the people who stormed the beaches in Normandy. Let's not drag poor Aretha into this mess. But seriously, like, they just decided to do that shit, right? And then everybody's like, what the fuck, man? This isn't accurate, or, this is bullshit. What is this? And, EA was like, well, if you don't like it, don't buy it. And Battlefield 5 pre-orders are like the lowest the series has seen or some shit like that. So Joe has this shill video where he's talking about all the evil right-wingers that don't approve of this shit and all that stuff. I didn't watch it, but he is getting he's getting ripped apart in the fucking comments, and rightfully so. Like I said, Joe's an idiot and he's a fucking shill. I knew he was a shill when he was white knighting for Anita a couple years ago. Like, just absolute fucking shill. Um, pardon me. I'm still going to be coughing, folks. I know. Um, um, so we're going to go ahead and screen share a little bit here. See if this works. Okay. There's Joe for us. He's got more dislikes than likes, it appears. The one of them's mine there. As you can see, I have a little comment here. Guide you become such a worthless, blatant shill over the years, Joe. Joe respects women. I mean, Dice literally admitted it was agenda. Go get woke, go broke. Joe will learn. Somewhere in here, there's a Dame Pesos comment. Way to go, Joe. This is exactly how you dig your own grave. And by the way, Joe has been massively fucking deleting like the top comments that are telling him to fuck off. Why are you complaining about people not buying products they don't want? The devs literally told people not to buy it if they didn't like it. They got what they wanted. Maybe. Oh, there it is. Joe, please stop acting like mundane Matt. Your own dislike count says it's true, bucko. Unsubbed. I was never subbed to Joe in the first fucking place, so. Let's see. Says he. I don't know on that. I didn't watch Joe's video, so. But these comments. Sargon left a comment. How come I can't see it? Oh, that's a good point. We'll bring that up because I'm sure Joe fucking deleted it. He is deleting comments. Let's bring that up a little higher. Guys, Joe is just deleting Russian bots, so it's not censorship. Get woke, go broke. Is that Swedish girl still cucking you? I don't know what that was in reference to, but I thought it was funny the first time I saw it, so I liked it. Because I'm sure Joe is getting cucked. This is just delightful, man. Fuck you, Joe. You fucking shill. And, you know, I don't want to dislike Joe. Joe is likable on a personal level. He really is. Like, I feel like if the Angry Joe show would have been... See, because Joe didn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And a lot of people have pointed this out. He uses a lot of shallow buzzwords to hide the fact that he has no fucking idea what he's talking about. On just, you know, never mind these more political things, but just on even just typical reviews. I feel like if he'd have had a writer... Because he has a certain charisma to him. He has a certain likability. He's got a certain everyman appeal. I feel like if he'd have had, like, somebody working with him who knew what the fuck they were doing, Joe could have really... And, I mean, on one level, Joe was very successful. You know, Joe is going to be able to milk this for many, many years, assuming he doesn't manage to piss off too many fans here, but... I mean, he's been this level of a shill for a while, so I can't imagine this is going to ruin him. So, you know, I mean, he's more successful at this than me, so not that I've made a really hard go at it. I barely know how to fucking edit a video. Let's rephrase that. I don't know how to fucking edit a video, not really. I can edit audio a little bit. I fucking suck at editing videos. The only reason I have animated videos on any of my channels is because Luke does that shit for me. I just ramble in front of a microphone with my dumbass opinion for a while. But Joe has a certain likability about him. But the moment he steps outside of his little hug box there, I mean, like, who's that guy at the Game Awards? Jeff Keighley, I want to say, who pushed Joe's shit in like 3 fucking times in a row or something, to the point where, you know, like, Joe comes up to him and Jeff's like, you know, are you gonna embarrass yourself again here, Joe? What are you gonna do? Like. Pardon me, guys. Still sick. Feel a lot better than yesterday, but still sick. But yeah, Angry Joe's such a fucking shill. He's not as big of a shithead as some of his colleagues. Like he's not an absolute scumbag like Movie Bob or Spoonie. You know, he's not pure fucking evil like Lindsay Ellis. Like, but man, it's just you almost want to like Joe. You almost want to like him. But then he does shit like this. You know, defending the indefensible. And he really is just kind of dumb. Like I said, he's got a certain charisma about him, but he really is just kind of dumb. And the thing that really upsets me about a lot of these guys is a few years ago, I mean, I first really discovered the whole lot of them probably around 2012 is when I really discovered this shit. I didn't watch any of that crap prior to that. I didn't know who the fuck Angry Video Game Nerd was or Nostalgia Critic or any of that crap. I had a buddy that introduced me to that shit around 2012. Maybe like late 2011, something like that. And I didn't even know about Channel Awesome. I'm like watching, pardon me, I'm watching like, you know, their stuff on YouTube put up by fans, you know. I think I was watching the official Cinemassacre shit. But so many of them, like I would discover so many in those years, like Angry Joe and, you know, Jim Sterling's another perfect example where at first I thought, oh, this is a pro-consumer guy. This is a guy who's looking out for the little guy, you know. He's all John Stossel or fucking Ralph Nader back, you know, 70s Ralph Nader. Like he's looking out for the little guy. He doesn't want the consumer to be screwed over by these big companies. And then you realize which is absolute shills they are. And it's just sad. It's just really, really sad. You know? I don't know how anyone's a fan of Joe anymore. I really don't. I really, really don't. So, in other news, I played a little bit more Owlboy today, and good stuff so far. I'm enjoying it. As I said, the art direction and presentation in it is just absolutely gorgeous. I played a little bit more Rocket Knight, the 2011 Rocket Knight yesterday. And I didn't do it on stream. I will do it on stream again. Although, in all fairness, those arcade things, they don't seem to get as much views as these, which I find weird. I think they're more entertaining. At least they will be when I get my fucking sound issues ironed out. But anyways, I don't know, man. The 2011 Rocket Knight, it just feels a little flat. Like there's just, I don't know. There's just a certain magic's gone, and I don't know how to describe it. It's not a bad game by any stretch, but it's like $15 on Steam, and it's not worth it. It's like a $5 game, and it's a shame because I'd like to see Rocket Knight be a fucking viable franchise again, and just probably not gonna happen. Yeah. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Rocket Knight. I'll be playing it a little bit more. But, just, it's not that good. I'll tell you what I am just enjoying the hell out of. I just read Volume 7 of it. The IDW Ghostbusters comic. I want to say it started in like 2010, something around those lines. 2011, maybe. But I'm at like Volume 7. And I've read some of it before, like I read the Ninja Turtle crossover and a few other the minis, like crossover minis, but it's really, really good. And I really want to do a video on it. Like I'm going to borrow my friend's scanner probably and get a lot of pages like scanned and do an actual in-depth review. Great stuff if you like Ghostbusters. Um, Somebody says Lehman and Bechtloff, which AVGN episodes were his best. I don't know. I in some regards, I think the guy's getting better. Maybe, I guess you could argue he peaked around at season 5 or so, but like, I think the Tiger handheld one is probably one of his best ones. Oh man, I could still go back to that, and I'm dying. It's really interesting. His one on the Atari porn games he doesn't have on his YouTube channel anymore. I really like that one. I don't know why he took it down. I mean, you can still find it on YouTube, but oh, pardon me. I'm gonna be coughing, folks. I apologize that sounds like shit. That sounds terrible, and nobody wants to hear it. But nothing I can do about it. Believe me, if I could make myself stop coughing, I would. I'm almost over it. Let's see. DJ Bechtloff. You're saying Aaron Clary is Ned Flanders. In some ways, he's the anti-Ned Flanders, but Aaron's right, though. I have to turn you way up to hear you. When the stream's over, I switch back to music, and I forget to turn down the music. I don't tell you, man. If I go any... I can't really go any higher on OBS, and the mic's turned up all the way. I don't know what else to do for you. Yeah. Angry Joe is mad that we aren't woke enough. Angry Joe should be ashamed of himself for defending EA for any reason. Angry Joe has a good work ethic. He's a hardworking, albeit misguided man. Rocket Knight burning out his fuse out there alone. The cover of Battlefield 5 was a disabled woman. Was it? I kind of heard that, but I didn't know if it was a shit post or not. Like I said, I don't pay attention. I don't give a fuck about Battlefield. It's God, I don't know. I don't want to shit on stuff that just doesn't appeal to me or something, but it's like that those kind of like games where it's like in Call of Duty especially, where it's just like generic ass fucking shooter and the annual releases of it, and it just, you know, I don't know. Like there's a lot of people that shit on video games for just being disposable crap. And when with some of these AAA games, it's like, yeah, they have a point. Let's see. The Catholic Church will rise again, pure and true and stronger than ever. And keep telling yourself that. Don't get me wrong, though. I don't have any doubt that the Catholic Church is going to exist for a very, very long time. In fact, the way I read Revelations, it seems they're going to be around to a bitter end. But in a worthwhile form is an entirely different question. Angry Joe, because we need Hispanics to do the shilling Americans won't do. It's hard to like someone personally when they are such a shill for Hot Topic sold safe PC rebellion. Yes, this is very true. Bechtloff, while I'm not a huge fan of Angry Joe, I feel like he's fundamentally a good guy at his core, but severely misguided in social issues. That's all the defense I can give him. I mean, he's not an absolute scumbag like Mundane Matt. I'll give him that. I bought Owlboy on the Nintendo Switch eShop. Have yet to play it. You should check out Matt Groening's new show. It starts off slow, but it's mostly pretty solid for what it tries to be. I don't know. I watched the trailer for it, the Disenchanted or whatever. And it just looked like shit. Like, I'm watching this trailer and I'm like, I'm not so much as chuckling once. I mean, I guess I have fucking Netflix. I guess I could just fire it up at any time. Um, let's see. Looks like I'm caught up on the chat there. Somebody else mentions creator of Simpsons and Futurama as a new show on Netflix. May want to check it out soon. Doesn't look good. I mean, it just really doesn't. All right. I am going to let everyone know, if you want to call into the show, let me know. Message me on the Skypes there at the Bechtloff. Or if you're in the Discord server, you can message me there. Somebody says, Monday Matt is pathetic, which is sad since he has an okay-looking girlfriend and a cute baby daughter. He doesn't have to be a shitbag. Well, I mean, his girlfriend has a daughter. Are we certain that's his? Check your Facebook Messenger. My Facebook? Why, what's going on my Facebook? What, nobody can hear me? What's going on? Well, who's messaged me on Facebook there? Let's see. Trying to get it up here. Which, that sounds really bad out of context. But, let's see. Bechtloff Trevor, Noah had a good quote about the Catholic Church. It's basically a grooming racket with Sunday morning service. She says, not completely sure the baby is Matt's, but she looks enough like him. Well, let's see. Oh, you sending me something on how to change the sound. Okay, I might take a look at that later. I'm not going to try and do that while I'm live. Like I said, I listened to it the other day. Like, I fired up the stream and it sounds okay. So yeah, I think part of the problem is when Aaron rips the audio. Bechtloff, the reason a disabled woman is in Battlefield 5 is because one of the EA Shield's 13-year-old daughter didn't like it because she can play a girl in Fortnite. Take that how you will. I barely know what the fuck Fortnite is, so I guess I'm just so out of the loop on fucking like AAA gaming or something. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm getting fucking old, but it's like, if it's not like Nintendo, I don't give a shit anymore. The gaming scene is just such shit. Like I said, maybe I'm just a cranky old guy anymore. Old man can't technology right. Nope, I sure can't. I sure can't. You really don't know what Fortnite is? It's the most popular. I mean, I keep hearing about it, but I don't know anything about it. It's the most popular game on Twitch. I don't watch Twitch. Like, I have a Twitch account. I think like Jennifer Doll's like drawing streams are the only thing I watch. Currently the most popular game right now. Okay. I mean, I don't know anything about it. Like, the little bit I have heard sounds like ass. I mean, what is it, like another battle royale shooter? I don't have any interest in those. Check, see if there's any messages on the old Discord. Doesn't look like it. Bechtloff, the best part about all the comic and game companies getting woke is now comic creators like EVS and DNC and game studios like Warhouse are taking the market by storm. Fortnite is gay and the culture surrounding is gay too, okay? It kind of seems like it. Watching the top Fortnite players play is actually quite fun. Okay. I like to watch a little bit of Let's Plays if it's like I give a shit about the person, and I know this sounds hypocritical because I've done fucking Let's Plays on here, but I like to watch a little bit of them if I give a shit about the person and I like hearing their commentary and all. But like for the most part, I gotta be honest, guys, I don't really get the appeal of watching someone play a fucking video game when you can just play a video game. Like, the sheer popularity of Let's Play still kind of baffles me. So, yeah, I don't know. Alright, looks like John Steele wants to call in. I'll take Steele's call. Go ahead and give him I guess I'll give him a call is how it'll work out. Boom. Hey, John, you're live on the air. What's on your mind?
Hey, could you just get on the hold 1 second because I have to delete the other window there, buddy.
Sure.
That's and by the way, people should know that when you using the OBS and people call in like that, there's like a 2-second delay thing there going on. So so I know you never call into other people's shows. People are just calling into yours. Is that correct?
Yeah, I haven't called into somebody's show through Skype. I mean, I've hopped into people's shows through Hangouts, but I haven't called in through Skype or Discord or anything like that before.
Well, first and foremost, I missed because I was doing my stream and I had a post game thing going. In all seriousness, what's up with your health, there, buddy?
I just got a fucking cold or something. I don't know.
Did you get checked out? Because this was going on. You know, the only reason I'm asking is because it was like several streams ago. I don't know if you realize it, where you were getting a cough.
I've had a bit of a cough for a little while, and then I got a full-blown, I don't know, cold, flu, whatever, here this past week, and I'm feeling a little better here today, but, I mean, you know, you say you get checked out, I don't have any fucking health insurance, so I don't have the money for that kind of shit. So, you know, that's sort of something I've dragged my feet on. Okay.
You can't, all right, no, I mean, do you got a fever?
I had a bit of one, I think, on Wednesday, but no, I haven't had one since.
Night sweats?
Nah.
Okay. No, I'm just because you you might sound worse than you really are. You know, sometimes.
I right now I have a cough. I have you know I'm hacking up snot here these past few days, but I was at about the worst of it Wednesday. And since then, I've been getting better. So,
okay, all right. Well, just checking up on you, buddy, because I don't want you dying on me. You know what I mean?
Oh, I appreciate it. And I have a doctor friend that I can kind of sneak over to his house and get sort of free semi checkups with him and all. I've had him, you know, I've had him take a look at shit and all before. Well, no, just someone who could just like listen to your lungs, like, because if you know, could tell if they're clear, and that would mean a lot. Because if it, you know, there's a difference between like what they call a quote unquote head cold and a chest cold. Yeah, this has definitely been a chest cold.
All right, well then, yeah, then they might need. Maybe you should shell out the few bucks to get checked.
I mean,
out
I might. You know, just the past few days, I've been getting better and better. So I've just, you know, as long as I'm heading in the right direction, I haven't had necessarily the need to, You know, I was about to on Wednesday, but then Thursday I felt considerably better, and I'm like, you know, as long as it's getting better, I'll leave it be.
Yeah, no, okay. Well, you know what's best, but you know, and other than that, you're more or less a healthy guy, I'm assuming. So,
Yeah, I don't
and
have any other problems.
well, one thing though, when you do got something like that, eat meat. Protein is important for antibodies.
That's true, and I that's the weird thing, you know, I have not been especially hungry, and I just that happens to me when I'm sick a lot. So really, all I've been eating is just like a chicken breast for dinner.
Well, that's good. Yeah, you want to cut out the carbs and just eat the protein because there's actually a little mini civil war going on right now inside your body. So uh, good to know. But anyway, so what I wanted to ask you is, well, I guess if you had to decide which one of the Teenage Mutant Ninjas is your favorite, what would it be?
The Ninja Turtles. I don't know. Probably like Donatello or Raphael.
Why is that?
I don't know. Raphael's a smart ass, so you know, as a kid, I always thought he was funny, and you know, Donatello always built all the gadgets they had, so that seemed like pretty important. I think we can all agree, though, Michelangelo is the most worthless.
Why is that?
Well, he's just a stoner. I mean, you know, I mean, literally. Aside from being able to get their weed connection, I don't see how he contributes anything to the team.
Well, speaking of weed connection, do you remember Scooby Doo?
Mm-hmm.
You know that Shaggy was a stoner, right?
Oh yeah.
And what was the girl's name? The dykish chick.
Death. Oh no, not Velma.
Yeah, she was a lesbian. And who are the other stereotypes I'm leaving out? But yeah, a lot of people didn't realize that when we were little kids that there was a lesbian and a stoner in Scooby Doo.
I loved Scooby Doo when I was a kid, man. I adored it. Like, you know, that was a little, obviously it was a little before my time when it was big, but I used to watch the reruns and all and before school, and I just loved them.
Well, and I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling kids. Do you remember every episode ended with that line?
Mm-hmm. I remember because there were like, you know, several different, like, it was almost random when they would play them, but there had been different Scooby-Doo shows over the years. Like, there was Scooby-Doo movies that always had like a guest star. Like, it'd be like Batman one week and then Don Knotts one week or some shit. And
You're talking about the cartoons.
yeah, and then they
Yeah.
just called them Scooby-Doo movies is what I meant. And then later there were like in the 80s there were like, I guess, made for TV movies or something where it's just Scooby and Shaggy and they're meeting like actual monsters. Like,
I don't think I saw those.
and then there was the 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo that had actual ghosts. And I remember as a kid I could actually tell, like, just looking at it, even if I hadn't seen it, I was like, if Shaggy's wearing a red shirt, there are actual monsters. And if Shaggy's wearing a green shirt, then it's just guys in masks.
Green shirt, and he always had that little like the little whiskers on his chin.
Yeah, he had that like beatnik look.
Yeah, well, more like to be honest, he kind of would look like nowadays like the male feminists.
Oh yeah, because they all try to have that hipster bullshit look to them.
Yeah, well, they have like they have the hunched over look and like the caved in chest and the total wimpy thing. By the way, what was written on the van? Do you remember the van in Scooby Doo?
I think it was like Mystery Machine or something like that.
Was that it? Anyone?
I know they called it the Mystery Machine, but I think that's what was written on it.
Okay, you could be right. I don't know. God, I haven't seen that in. Is that on reruns? Does anyone know? Is that on reruns on any channel anywhere now?
I don't know what's on TV anymore. I couldn't tell you. I like watch like no TV anymore.
Oh, by the way, you still have cable though. You didn't do what I told you. I told you to cut the cord, and you didn't do it.
Oh well, it's not entirely up to me. I don't live alone, so I mean, I've made the vote for it, but I'm still trying to talk.
Mystery Inc. That's what they say in the chat. So where's Luke tonight, brother?
Luke's he's out. What the hell was he doing? He was out doing something, so he couldn't hop on.
Oh, he's attending one of his communist rallies?
Yeah, he's probably out screwing with communists or something. I actually meant to leave that up for callers. Like, I'm kind of interested, because I know I got a lot of younger people than me in, like, things that people would get into that was, like, well before their time. Because I know as a kid, I used to have a lot of reruns of stuff that were, you know, well before my... Like, when I was a kid, I used to love watching Get Smart. And, I mean, that was a show from, like, the 60s.
Do you remember Get Smart when they used to have used to have to talk in secret and the thing would drop down from the ceiling
and they couldn't hear
and they couldn't hear each other.
So they just lifted the cone of silence. Yeah. Oh, I love that show, man. But yeah, I kind of wanted to you know, talk about you know, just hear people like, you know, about, you know, games that they got into that were before their time or just cartoons or shows or whatever. Because I just sort of find that interesting, you know. I mean, I got people in my audience that are probably, you know, hell, a lot of them are in high school right now. So, you know, it'd be just kind of interesting to hear them talk about, you know, shit that they're into that was well before their time. Because, you know, I mean, when I was a kid, I watched TV and there were reruns of shit on TV. But, you know, nobody under 30 watches TV anymore. So I don't know how that works.
Well, no, well, they're watching something.
They're watching like stuff online and all. I guess I don't know. I don't know how you'd end up discovering stuff before your time or what. I don't know. I don't understand these young people.
These kids today, I don't understand them. One thing about you though, you're not as much as you love movies, you don't really care for classics.
I don't like a lot of stuff before like the 70s. I really don't. There's the oddball thing here and there, but yeah, a lot of the stuff before the 70s just doesn't appeal to me.
That's a shame. You're missing.
Now there's a lot of stuff from like the 30s and 40s I adore, especially, and a lot of stuff. There's a lot of sci-fi and horror from the 50s even that I adore, but I don't know, man. A lot. You know, one of the problems is I don't like early colorized movies. I don't like the look of them.
Either do I. I don't like early color. I'm actually was talking about the 40s. Like, did you like the Maltese Falcon or Casablanca or
I like
The Razor's Edge?
I think it's a touch overrated, which is almost impossible not to be with how much everyone loves it. But yeah, there's and like I said, a lot of the old Universal monster stuff I adore. You know, King Kong is a fantastic movie. You know, there's a lot of stuff like that I really adore. The one old classic movie that everybody loves, and I just even as a kid I never liked it that much, was Wizard of Oz. Just even as a kid, I'd look at it like meh, and I can't even.
You know what that was about, right?
What? Yeah, the book's actually fantastic.
No, but it was about the fiat money thing, wasn't it? That's what the Wizard of Oz was about.
Oh, I'm not really sure. I read the book when I was like 12. So, you know, I wasn't really getting the fiat money, subtext to it.
No, that's actually what it was about. If someone in the chat wants to Google that, like Wizard of Oz and fiat money, and there's a whole thing, Yellow Brick Road and gold and the whole thing. I remember seeing a video on that. I didn't really care for that either. That was one of the first Technicolor films. I think it was like 1930s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 39, I believe.
Yeah, so
but yeah, a lot of the color films from the 60s, everything feels so oversaturated, and I always feel like it has like an orange tint to everything.
Yeah, well, they really hadn't the technology. Well, that was in 39. It was new. I think
that was probably. I think that was the first color thing almost ever.
Well, the first big production was color. But a lot of one of the things that really pissed me off. Do you remember I don't know how many years ago this was. When did Ted Turner decide to colorize? When did that become a popular thing? When he decided to colorize all the movies?
Probably like late '80s, early '90s. I know he put a lot of that stuff up on like TNT and TBS that he owned.
Yeah, and it was horrific because what a lot of people didn't realize was that the directors filmed those scenes knowing that they would be in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
So they filmed them in a very specific way. So when you colorize them, you were butchering their art.
And even that aside, a lot of the things that were used realizing that this isn't, you know, I mean, like famously Hitchcock used chocolate sauce for blood, you know, because it had a similar consistency and in black and white looked exactly like blood, you know. But then when you attempt to colorize that, you start to make stuff. It starts being, a lot of the stuff starts looking even more fake.
Yeah, well, that famous scene, I think you're referring to this scene from Psycho, right? The original Psycho.
I know he used. I know he used it then, but I know it just, that's basically anytime he had to show blood, that's what he used. That was whatever his go-to special effects guys were. They just, you know.
Well, you know the shower scene in Psycho, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know the scene I'm talking about? You know, they never once show a knife hitting anything.
Oh, no, yeah, they don't. Well, I mean, back then, you couldn't get away with a lot.
But a lot of people who saw that film, you know, think that they were actually, you know, they actually showed it, but they never did.
Well, there's kind of, a lot of people tend to look away right at the moment that would have been, like, the strike point. Like, people just tend to wince. So you don't necessarily notice that it didn't show it. Like it's a more recent movie, but in The Dark Knight, there's actually a scene where, like the Joker jams that pencil into the guy's face. He's doing the magic trick or whatever. And, like a lot of people I knew swore that they actually showed that.
Is this where he sat down with all the mob guys?
Yeah. Like he's like a magic trick. He stands the pencil up. And when the one bodyguard comes up to him, he like slams his head down onto the pencil really fast. Like they kind of, there's sort of a last second like kind of cut away from that, but a lot of people don't really notice that because, you know, most people, if they're seeing something that horrifying, they kind of wince away in the last split second.
Yeah, and also the human mind will fill in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Fill in the blank spots. But you know, I'm trying to remember that scene from because I actually saw the movie a few times, but I'm kind of blanking on that now. Maybe I winced.
Yeah, it was something like, you know, why shouldn't we kill you? And he's like, you know, how about a magic trick? I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. And as the guy walks up to him, he goes, slams his head down. He's like, and then he like you know, does like he like kind of does like a little hand burst over where the pencil was, like ta-da. That was a great performance. As much as like those movies, they don't age well in my opinion, because like the more I watch them over and over again, the more I don't like the increased realism they were going for, because it's like, damn it, I want more Batman in my Batman movie. At the same time, like, I could watch those Heath Ledger fucking scenes just over and over again. They were amazing.
Well, the Heath Ledger Batman I thought was brilliant because I thought the way Heath Ledger, what's the word, a phrase, he became the Joker. He redefined what the Joker was. Like he owned that character. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely took it to a sort of a psychological horror element to him, and it worked just amazingly well.
Yeah. Now the other Batman movie, you know, the one with Bane, like you joke about and stuff like that. I didn't like that movie.
Oh, I don't care for it either. I mean, the Bane scenes are also very entertaining. Like, I could watch the Bane scenes over and over again, but not for the same reasons. You know, it's
yeah, but
more
the
just
movie
like,
didn't. The movie didn't work.
no, it was a mess. It was a mess.
Yeah, because I think you and I one time talked offline about that. About you know the movie was just silly. I mean, yeah, there's some great lines that Bane had, but the movie, I don't think it worked. I think it was
again. It you know, the entire Nolan trilogy is trying so desperately to take itself to be so serious and realistic. Like, you know, we can't have Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. She has to just be Selena Kyle, because we can't just call her Catwoman, because God forbid we have anything fun in here. But at the same time, you know, as we're having all this hyper realism, like Bruce has his back fixed through ancient Chinese secret. You know what I mean? Like at a certain point, it's like, come on, man, it's fucking Batman. Can we just have some fun fucking Batman shit in our Batman movie? You know, like you're sacrificing so much on the altar of quote unquote realism, and you're not even really achieving realism. So just like, can we have Anne Hathaway in a Catwoman suit? Is that too much to ask?
Well, also, I would like if they showed Anne Hathaway's breasts, because you know I used to have a thing for her, but
like the closest they got is she like had these night vision goggles, and they sort of like she like flipped them up at one point, and they sort of looked like cat ears. And it's like, no, don't give me a nod to the fact that she's Catwoman. Just make her be Catwoman.
Yeah, and
like,
yeah, and I also thought that it. I also never bought into any sort of chemistry between Anne Hathaway and Christian Bale.
Yeah, and part of that I think is just because of how Bruce is so like broken in that movie. That movie's like borderline depressing at points. And not in any kind of way that really makes you think about that. No, it's just sort of like, yeah, he's just turned into a hermit pissing in mayonnaise jars in his fucking mansion for the past 8 years. It's like, I don't want this. I want him doing Batman stuff. Like, damn it, movie, just be a Batman movie.
Well, and also went to the other extreme, like, because you remember, like, when he first fights Bane, like, he gets a living shit kicked out of him, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he literally gets his back broken, and then all of a sudden he's cured by ancient Chinese secrets, and then why is he able to beat Bane the second time?
Dude, because movie. Again, it's like this movie wants to act like it's so realistic, you know, and then it's not. It's really not, you know.
Yeah, I thought it was lacking. And I think it tried to go in too many different directions. And what's the guy's name? Brady, or the guy that played Bane?
Tom Brady.
He's actually a really good actor.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree. I think he's really
yeah.
Really
I enjoy him, and you know, I mean, I think he did the best he could with Bane, given the direction he was given. I mean.
Yeah, that's what's kind of sad, because you see like a brilliant actor that could, you know, done way more with that if he had license to, and you know, he was kind of restricted with, you know, the writing and everything like that. I think that I don't know. I guess Nolan was trying to make this his magnum opus, and he tried to do too much, and it accomplished almost nothing.
There's something to Batman villains, and it's why they're one of the, you know, most endearing of comic book villain rogue galleries, in that most of the villains represent either some sort of like psychological illness and or some sort of like philosophical bent, you know, that they can be kind of like almost watered down to that. And Bane isn't one of those kind of villains. Like Joker is one of those kind of villains. Poison Ivy is one of those kind of villains. Riddler is one of those kind of villains. Bane is just, in the comic, he's just this guy who's like a South American mob boss who wears a luchador mask because he thinks it's cool. And he has this, you know, chemical pumped into him that's like super steroids, he calls Venom, that makes him inhumanly strong. And that's it. He's he's just a mafia dude. He just wants to take shit over.
Wasn't there a backstory about the mask though? Like, what's the name of Ghoul? What the fuck was that guy's the father?
Well, in the movie, yeah, they tie him into like League of Shadows, but in the comic, he's just a South American drug lord guy who found this chemical that makes him super strong, and he wears a luchador mask because, you know, wrestling is cool. You know, there's really not a lot to him in that sense. He's just, you know, he's just kind of a tool. And that, I mean, that can be an interesting character in and of itself, but you know, you have somebody like Poison Ivy that's this crazy, you know, ecological terrorist that screams about Gaia. You have somebody like the Riddler who's this, you know, that quintessential criminal that allows himself to get caught because he can't help but leave clues. You have somebody like Joker who's this nihilist anarchist guy. You know, you have, you know, Selena Kyle almost represents kleptomania given physical form. And then you have Bane, and it's like, yeah, he's this guy from South America that likes to fight people. He's a mob boss. And it's like, you know, it's like there's no... It's not that he's a bad character. It's that he's not really the kind of character that's really, really primal, like a lot of Batman characters. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, like in comparison to the other
he's
ones,
not really the kind of iconic thing that just represents this one aspect of human nature.
No, well, I still think though that ultimately the Joker is the ultimate villain because the what would you say the Joker is a nihilistic well, what's the expression? Some people just want to see the world burn.
I was having this argument with a buddy of mine. We were talking about, like, you know, that classic question of why doesn't Batman kill the Joker? And I said, okay, there's two things here to consider. Number one, why does Batman have to? Like, why do we expect that from him? Why does he have to stain his soul by killing it, by crossing that one line he drew for himself? Why can the government not properly execute this man? Why can the government not properly keep this one fucking dude with no powers in a jail cell? You know?
Well, obviously they can't.
And then the other question I thought...
twice. There's two times where they had him and they let him go.
And I kind of thought to myself, I'm like, you know, if I was like writing like a DC comic story, maybe it takes place in like a possible future so you can have characters come to logical ends. You know who I think ultimately kills the Joker? Lex Luthor.
Oh, but now you're crossing...
Well, I'm just kind of looking at broader DC world, because here's why. The Joker is a complete asshole. So in my mind, I always see it as like, what would inevitably happen is that, like, you know, Lex Luthor gets his gang of villains together to try to make the big play, and he lets the Joker involved in it, and the Joker fucks it up because the Joker's just dicking around. He's not really trying to accomplish anything, and Lex Luthor has enough of him and cuts his head off. To put it in other nerd terms, you know, lawful evil takes care of chaotic evil, no problem.
Well, I think I will beg to differ here because I think you're underestimating the Joker. Because if, at least in the films, the Joker outsmarted everybody, including Batman.
But see, I think on one level, the Joker wants somebody to kill him in a way that crosses a line. Like, you know, the Joker would love it if somebody like Superman killed him and had to like stain his character with it. So I always think that there's a scene in the one Batman animated movie, Mask of the Phantasm, where the Joker's fighting the character Phantasm, and they're in like a kitchen set. It's like a World's Fair thing. And on the counter behind him is a knife and a big giant ham, right? And the Joker is reaching behind him, and he feels the knife, and he's reaching around, and then he feels the ham, and he grabs the ham and uses that to hit him in the face, right? I remember watching that with a buddy, and my buddy's like, why didn't he go for the knife? He's like, because he's the Joker. He thought hitting somebody in the face with a giant ham would be funny. Like, he barely cares if he succeeds. He's just fucking around. He doesn't really have an agenda.
Well, okay, now we're getting really esoteric here. I think his agenda is to be the mirror of what is good. Like, I think he's trying to say that, you know, this whole idea of like law and order is bullshit.
Yeah.
Does that make sense at all?
I would agree with that. There's definitely a philosophical bent to it. It's just, it's not like other villains where it's like they want something, you know, they want to take things over, or they want to kill this person, or they want to achieve this.
or they want money, or like he
You know-
doesn't want money. He doesn't want, none of it. He just, I guess you could say, watch the world burn or what. Anyway, why don't you read some questions in the chat? You got a lot of stuff going on there.
Let's see what is going on in chat. Let's see. People talking about some financial shit here. Going up through the chat a bit. All car mechanics make at least $500K a year. I don't know if that's true, but somebody says Bane is painfully 90s. Yeah, Bane is one of those characters in the comic that was basically... They had an idea for a story arc where Batman gets crippled and someone else replaces him for a while, and then Bane was a villain created to fulfill this story arc, as it were. And that's usually not a very good way to create a character.
Yeah, he was a placeholder, and then they created...
Yeah, I mean, basically at first... Now, other writers would come along and add more character to him, but... Yeah, at first it was like, we need somebody who's really strong that breaks Batman's back. Okay, and then we start from there. Let's see. Somebody says, I have to say that Plan 9 from Outer Space was improved when colorized. I'm not sure if I've seen that.
Is that a
Mystery
Science Theater?
It sounds familiar, but I can't place it.
Oh, by the way, does anyone know, is Mystery Science Theater 2000 still on the air?
I don't think so. I think there's like a new version now with Patton Oswalt or something, but I'm sure it's not funny as hell because Patton Oswalt's not funny anymore.
No, well, Bob, yeah. Anyway,
he was like 10 years ago, man. There was a time Patton Oswalt was funny as shit, but
you know who one of his best friends is?
Who's that?
Jim Goad.
Oh wow.
Yeah. You read Jim Gold at Taki Mag.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't like disavowed him because Patton's one of those guys who's just going further left, just doubling down and doubling down.
That's why I said it is like they are like, if you read Jim Goat, I mean they are fucking polar opposites. But you can actually Google on YouTube. They've actually it's actually videos of them talking, older stuff. I don't know. Maybe now they don't get along. Who knows? Because people have gotten so. You can't consort with the enemy anymore because if you do, like if Patton Oswalt was to talk to Jim Goad, like the leftists would like disown Patton Oswalt and call him like a Nazi lover or giving a platform to a Nazi or something.
It's a shame, and it's a shame because these guys they I don't know, they stop being funny when they really embrace that hardcore leftism, And Patton Oswalt was a funny dude. He had really good nerd humor. He had really good... I don't know how to put it. He just had a really... His stand-up comedy had just this really
he had a really weak chin, yeah.
he had this really interesting like dynamic to it and a perspective to it that I just adored. And he was a great voice actor. He's done a lot of work in cartoons.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, he was Ratatouille in that one Pixar movie, like The Little Rat, and like he had a stand-up bit about that afterwards, where he was like, he was having a Halloween party at his house, and he was like getting just shit-faced, right? And like his wife was handing out the candy to the kids that would come trick-or-treating, but his wife was like in the bathroom, so he had to go hand out the candy to the kids, right? And he comes to the door, and there's this kid in a Ratatouille costume, and he just looks at the kid, and he's like, "You're inside me." and he's like, so needless to say, on the 1st of November, I had to go apologize to a neighbor. Oh, damn. Can't laugh with a chest code.
See a doctor, motherfucker.
I'm fine. And then I died.
If you die on me, I have a clear conscience because I told you to see a doctor.
I'm getting better. As long as it's getting better, I'm not worried about it.
All right. Well,
now if I wake up tomorrow and I feel worse and I've like taken another downturn, yeah, I think I'll finally cough up the money for a doctor then. But I'm heading in the right direction.
If you wake up in the morning and you're coughing up fucking blood, you better fucking see a doctor.
No, it's not coughing up blood, just not. All right. Well, I
Just
got another caller I'm going to go ahead and take, John. So you got any closing thoughts?
no, buddy. You have a good night, and you take care of
Yep.
yourself.
Thanks.
All right, later, brother.
Okay, so looks like Zach wants to call in. I'm gonna go ahead and give him a call. Hopefully he's still paying attention. As I'm coughing up about a gallon of snot here. Come on, Zach. What's on your mind? You're on the air.
Okay, hello. So one, I feel like we could have a laugh at Battlefield 5 expense. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I was shitting on Angry Joe Schilling for it. I mean,
I
I don't
didn't
know
know-
a ton about it because I don't play Battlefield games because I have taste.
Well, anyway, basically they decided to go full versus Signal, and the creative director said, if you don't like it, don't buy it. Well, guess what the audience didn't do? And pre-order numbers are quote-unquote weak, and the head of DICE decided to jump ship.
What exactly do you? This is just a almost rhetorical question because maybe you don't know. But what the fuck do you get when you pre-order anymore? Because again, I'm old. Okay, I'm getting old. I'm in my 30s. All right, and I remember even just 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, you pre-ordered a game and you got like a T-shirt, you got like a fucking poster or something like that. You got some actual thing to go with it. Maybe not like a statue or something like that, but just some throwaway, a little button or something. You know, a little pin that had like that game character on it or something. Just something. And now it's like, what do you get when you pre-order? It's like, well, you get a guaranteed copy of this thing that there's going to be 5 billion fucking copies of. I mean, I get that there's the oddball Switch or NES Classic once in a while that becomes hard to find, but nobody's going to have a hard time finding the latest fucking Madden, right? So what are you pre-ordering for? I don't understand.
Some games do have like exclusive skins, but yeah, a lot of it's pretty pointless. But I just find it funny how it's like the creative director said, "Oh, if you don't like it, don't buy it." And it's like, well, what did you think was going to happen, dumb shit? Anyway, there was one thing though, just brief discussion, because we always talk about how things are bad in games. The SJW politics is bad in games. It's bad in comics, bad in movies. But out of the quote-unquote gay communities, I see very few people talk about the science fiction fantasy world. The science fiction fantasy books industry, and basically it's whereas the other communities, they're basically like people are standing up and fighting, and the SJWs are trying to push everyone else out. They own that territory, and there was an article that actually came out. Best Mom Eva on Twitter shared it, and basically just showed how there's basically no one center or right left in that community. It's basically like people who would find Karl Marx too far right, and basically just goes over some of the horror stories of the like that place is such a toxic
Vox Day
minefield.
has talked about that a lot, and yeah, guys like, it's funny at this point, guys like, what the hell is the guy's name? Vox always calls him McRapey. The guy that wrote he wrote that book Red Shirts.
I've absolutely,
I think
like,
he wrote
it's not
Old Man's War.
Yeah,
John Scalzi.
Oh yeah.
At this point, John Scalzi is starting to get pushed out of like speaking engagements at these sci-fi conventions and all, like sci-fi book conventions, because he's too much of a white male, and he's of course rationalizing this. I didn't even want to talk anyways. I'm okay with moving aside, all this other gay shit, but yeah, it's pretty bad, and I mean that's why it's not making any money anymore.
Well, there was there's the whole thing with the Hugo Awards, and the convention that does the voting for the Hugo Awards is called, I think it's called WorldCon or WonderCon. Well, this year they had a bunch of people drop out because they listed the featured guest list of the speakers and all that, and this was one of those, I identify as blank, and apparently they quote unquote misgendered someone, where they identified them as E, literal E, and I figure it was just a typo where they put he on the panelists, and basically you had people threatening to drop out because they didn't feel safe, quote unquote.
Well, I mean, those people always just end up eating each other.
Yeah.
You know, as I often used to joke, and I make this joke about liberals, it's like, when I used to watch zombie movies, I would wonder what keeps the zombies from eating each other. And in real life, it turns out the answer is not much.
Hmm. Yeah. And I'm in the process of writing my own fantasy series, but it's just one of those things where I look at that industry, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to independent. It'll just save me the headache in the long run. It's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, you think comics or video games are bad. It's like, at least there's a pushback. The science fiction fantasy book industry, there's no, they own that territory, and they've owned that territory so much that they're eating each other. It's just one of those things you check in and go, oh, wow, that's a shit show.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Anyway, so yeah, I figure I'd just throw in those 2 cents and I'll be on my way.
Alrighty, man. Thanks for calling in. I'm going to bring in Cynic and Chief next then. I don't need to rate every call I do. Skype, thank you, though. You want to rate this call? How about the next one? Alright, I'm going to call Cynic and Chief now. He said he wanted to chime in. There he is. Cynic and Chief, you're on the air. What's on your mind?
Just talk about some old movies and recommendations for cartoons, I guess.
Yeah, that's something I definitely want to get, like, some of the younger callers and all. I'd love to hear, like, how they discovered games that are before their time, too. You know, that'd be really interesting, because...
Well, most of the good stuff I've had was recommended by other people.
Yeah, that's... I remember when I was, like, 12 or something, my dad just, like, would start recommending me, like once he figured, okay, you've hit puberty now, you can handle some of these raunchy R-rated comedies. So he'd just be showing me like Caddyshack and Animal House and Fast Times at Richmond High and shit like that.
Well, it was Aaron Clary who recommended a couple of the different ones. Hogan's Heroes, that's the big one that he recommended. And then there's a Peter Gunn, that's another old TV series that he recommended I found really good. Still not as good as Hogan's Heroes.
Like I said earlier, Get Smart I used to love as a kid. Used to watch the Adam West Batman a lot. I've watched a lot of shit on like Nick at Night and stuff like that. As a kid, yeah, I don't necessarily know. You know, I mean, like how would somebody who's like maybe through the internet, maybe through all these like reviewers and shit like that. But I mean, you know, how would someone who's like 13 or 14 or 15 now discover, I don't know, Seinfeld or something like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that yeah, it's just kind of before our time. Although I have been getting into some old cartoons. I figured out which ones of the Scooby-Doos are good and which ones are trash. The original Scooby-Doo Where Are You series is probably the best. Scooby-Doo show is maybe a little bit better, but as at least
you know what I think is the height of Scooby-Doo as a franchise is the Monster Island movie or Zombie Island movie.
See, that was terrible. That was terrible.
I love that, man, because it combined like the mystery elements but then there was an actual real supernatural element to it that didn't end up taking away from the mystery element, and I like that. I think it's probably the best of this franchise.
Man, see those they did a series of about 5 of those, and those were very poorly received. Now some of them, like the Goblin King, are just utter garbage.
I don't think I ever see. I was like in 9th grade or something when that Zombie Island came out, or 10th grade or something like that. And I just remember it gets played on Cartoon Network, and I'd watched Scooby-Doo a ton as a kid. And, there was this element, it was almost the same story as the live action movie, in that like the group had broken up and were getting back together or something. Only it wasn't fucking disturbing like the live action movie. And I don't know, I guess because I loved it so much as a kid, there was almost an element of like checking up on old friends to it. But yeah, I really like that movie. That's probably my favorite of the Scooby-Doo shit. And then after that, it's like, whatever.
That was part of my least favorite section. They did some other direct-to-video movies. Oh, I can't remember. I'll look them up. I mean, I've got some of the names of them.
There's a comic book DC is doing right now called Scooby Doo Team Up, and it just like each issue, and I've read a few of them because mostly because of my buddy that has like a comic stand. You know, I get like kind of access to like free comics there. I can just go there and read them, sort of. And he had a bunch of them there, and like some weeks it'll be like a different Hanna-Barbera character, but a lot of weeks it's just like because DC Comics is publishing it, it's just like a random DC character. Like there was an issue where they're hanging out with Swamp Thing and shit like that, and it's actually just surprisingly pretty good. Like I'm flipping through it, I'm like, if this was like an animated series, like sort of reviving that Scooby Doo movies thing, this would be fantastic.
Yeah, let me see. Okay, yeah, those were terrible. Legend of the Vampire, that was awful.
13 Ghosts is pretty good. That series.
There's one, I think it's like Chill Out Scooby Doo or something like that, where they're up in the Himalayas. That was really good. And then there's another one. I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, I'm not seeing it online right now. It's one where it's where they're at a magic castle, and that's probably the best of the videos I've ever seen. I mean, the monster isn't real, but for the most part, it looks so real, and it's also very scary. They amp up the tension on the whole movie until it finally all comes out at the end.
I remember there was like the Kid Scooby Doo show when I was a kid.
The Scrappy Doo, and that was
No, it was like all of the Scooby Doo characters when they were like in elementary school or some shit.
Huh, okay.
Pup named Scooby Doo, that's what it was called. There was a bunch of those. There was like a Kid Yogi Bear thing.
Yep.
There was like a Kid fucking Tom and Jerry. There was like it was this weird like trend in the early 90s, late 80s of like take cartoons and turn them into kids. Like there was Flintstone Kids.
Animated direct-to-video. I mean, the ABC series that ran in the 1990s is still one of my favorite series. Here we go. Scooby-Doo Abracadabra Doo. That's the one where they're in the Magic Castle.
Mm.
That was 2010. So they're still making them. They've got Mystery Incorporated, which I don't particularly care for, but it's not terrible.
Oh yeah, they're churning them out. I see them at Target like all the time. Like anytime I go by the DVD section at Target, I see like fucking new ones.
If you like newer stuff, I think you would really, really enjoy Phineas and Ferb.
I've seen a little bit of Phineas Ferb. I thought it was all right.
The amount of just besides the inside jokes, and which it's got a dual purpose. It kind of sucks because if you jump in midway in it, you miss so much of it. But if you start out from the beginning, it's just absolutely adds to the humor to it, as well as some of the just general pop culture references about one-hit wonders and people
I loved. I've mentioned it several times on here, but I loved Kim Possible. If I ever saw that on like DVD, just like the whole show, I'd probably pick it up.
You can get this stuff on. I think I've got the. Well, I BitTorrented some of it, and then some of it you can just get on Amazon or something like that, where you can download as individual files the whole series.
I always choose to believe Kim Possible and the Clerks cartoon exist in the same world. Just because it's the same art style, because it's the same guy that did the art direction on both of them. And just like, I just choose to believe that while all that Kim Possible shit's going on, like Dante and Randall are just manning the fucking Quick Stop in New Jersey.
Well, that's one of the things I like.
They don't bump into each other, but it just happens to, it just exists in the same world.
Well, that's one of the things I like about Phineas and Ferb is it doesn't have that stupid Cal art style that so much crap has. It looks a little more old fashioned, and that's one of the things I didn't like about Gravity Falls. It took itself too seriously. Yeah, it had all kinds of corny humor, but it was just dumb corny humor. I like the puns and the stupid inside references and making fun of both the show and other shows, and it's that kind of multiple layers of humor that I just love about Phineas and Ferb, which is really probably the only cartoon that I really enjoy that's in the 2000s at all.
Well, I like Gravity Falls. I haven't caught all of it, but what I have seen of it, I enjoyed.
Yeah, it gets more and more bizarre as the series goes on.
I was watching on YouTube. There's obviously Disney is doing a ton of Marvel cartoons right now, like just farting them out at just epic pace. But right before Disney bought Marvel, there was an Avengers cartoon called Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and it had, I think, 2 or 3 seasons, and it was damn good. Like, it was almost Justice League Unlimited level quality. And I think it like got immediately canceled, and then they put out something called Avengers Assemble, which was a lot more like the movies and shit when Disney got the rights. But Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes is a fantastic superhero cartoon. It's probably the best Marvel superhero cartoon.
That's something I haven't gotten into, aside from a few Justice League cartoon videos, is the whole DC cartoons that are out there.
Oh, dude, you can't go wrong with the Bruce Timm shit. Like, I used to have it, and I ended up losing them in a move. I used to have, like, all of them on DVD. And I'd love to get them again at some point as I'm able. But, like, I mean, the Batman stuff is just amazing. Superman's great. Justice League is great. You know, as Justice League Unlimited. Even Batman Beyond is pretty damn good.
And one thing, we're all talking about movies and comics and stuff, but don't forget all the old-time radio that you can get from archive.org. You can get almost every issue of, or every episode of stuff like Gunsmoke and Dragnet and my favorite, The Green Hornet, The Shadow, all these really old-time 30s and 40s radio episodes. They're absolutely fantastic. Now, they don't quite give you the same level of entertainment because you can't really see anything. You have to listen to it, which is good for me anyway because I'm programming usually while I'm listening to stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're able to like listen to stuff at work, that stuff's great to have, man.
Or whenever I'm traveling, I'll play something. Again, there's so much entertainment out there, and we've had so much over the past 100 years that you really have no excuse to be watching this soy shit nowadays. Just turn on something old and enjoy that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great stuff out there. Don't, you know? I mean, there's some stuff currently that's worth watching, but those are islands in a sea of crap. Like, you don't be sitting there watching, you know, I don't know, whatever the fuck. You know, don't be watching Steven Universe and fucking Thundercats Roar and shit like that.
Yeah, with Bones being canceled and Phineas and Ferb being canceled, that's about it for TV for me.
Well, I'm basically most of a season behind, so I'm gonna have to like catch up on Netflix. But I still do like Flash and Arrow. But other than that, and I like the Orville. The Orville's good. But other than that, man, what the fuck else would even be on TV that I'd want to watch? Like nothing.
Yeah, I ended up canceling my Netflix after they pulled Phineas and Ferb off of it. that was really that and House of Cards, which turned into degeneracy after a season and a half, and I just stopped watching
I'm about to like kind of cancel Netflix. Like what I find, I pay for Netflix each month, and I shouldn't because I don't watch it that much. What ends up happening is something on Netflix catches my attention, and I binge watch it in a couple of days. And then I barely fucking touch Netflix at all. So I'm just going to like, you know, every once in a while I'll get it for a month and cancel it is what I'm going to end up doing. You know? That's what I'm going to end up getting like 3 or 4 months out of a year where I pay for Netflix that month and then cancel my subscription. And because you could just cancel and renew at will, and there's like no penalty to it or anything like that.
Or you can put it on hold, and then they'll just basically suspend it until you reactivate it.
Yeah. I'll just do that. Like, in October, I want to watch the rest, like the new Castlevania stuff, because the first 4 episodes were great. But I mean, you know, and I like Stranger Things. Hell, I even liked Fuller House on it. I mean, yeah, it was corny, goofy stuff, but it was kind of refreshing and nice to actually see like decent, like fucking family show again. Like the lost art of an actual, like something I wouldn't mind watching with kids. You know what I mean? Like if I was watching a younger cousin or something.
Well, I've gotten my little cousins into Scooby Doo. That's they think that's awesome. The old the original Scooby Doo where I used 1970 series, and yeah, that's the kind of stuff that it's perfect for kids to watch. But it's one that teenagers and even adults really enjoy too.
Yeah, if I had a kid, I would not let him watch just regular TV. I wouldn't have cable or anything like that. I'd just buy shows on DVD or something.
Oh, the level of stuff out there nowadays is vanishingly small, and you can get that either stream it or get it on a medium like DVD.
Yeah, even if you just buy it legitimately on DVD, people are like, DVDs are so expensive. It's like, think of how much cable is a month, right? Okay, so like, let's say an expensive season of a show is like $50. You know what I mean? Okay, so it's $50 for like 13 hours worth of fucking entertainment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's not even that bad, and that's like the pricier ones, you know, and that's not even that bad.
I used the same logic whenever I moved out here into the country. The city where I was from had a really good library that I could get pretty well any kind of medium I wanted at the library, whereas I don't have that now. On the other hand, I'm paying $600 a year less in taxes just from switching from one county to the next. So hey, I can buy as much media as I want for that $600. So yeah, do the same thing. Cancel if you're not using that cable, cancel it and use the money to buy a DVD every month.
Yeah, you know, just pick up a season of whatever show you like on DVD. There you go. Watch it over and over again.
Or since I get most of my entertainment from Internet Blood Sports and listen to you, I just donate to your Patreon and Styx's and Ralph's.
There you go. Everybody support my Patreon. Send me shekels. Send me them shekels.
If you're listening to Bechtloff more than you're listening to talk radio or the TV, kick him money instead. Because
Exactly.
hey, you're paying for those other guys through their ads.
Send them super chats. Send them shekels there.
Anyway, I had some stuff about Mundane Matt, but other than that, that's...
Well, Monday Matt, what's up with...
Thanks to the power of the internet, I've stumbled across some images. Mostly just of him and his girlfriend and their little baby. So, honestly, he's got to... If Mundane Matt would just stop shooting himself in the dick, he would actually have a decent life. But the problem is he's such a soy-filled pussy that he can't let it go. He can't not screw it up.
He has to keep trying to be this middle of the road guy too. And it's like, if you actually put out real opinions there, Matt, you'd probably be able to turn your channel around.
Which is fine to have those middle of the road opinions, but nobody on the internet wants to hear those middle of the road opinions.
But he doesn't really have them. That's the thing. When you like, if you've heard like, there's this little bit of audio where he's like, you know, he doesn't realize he's being recorded, and he's like shitting on all the other skeptic people. Like he says, like, you know, Armored Skeptic looks like he'd cry the first time he saw a vagina, or something like that. And I mean, like, if he would put out an actual apology video, not apology on Tumblr where he hopes none of his fans see it, put out an actual apology video, actually try and make things right. Maybe like, you know, hold a fucking fundraiser for the people he fucked over or something. Encourage his fans to donate to him. Something like along those lines. And then, like, actually, I don't know, had real fucking opinions on his show. He'd be able to turn himself around, but he's not going to do any of that.
No. And I was thinking earlier, one of the best ways to show that he's sad is, hey, Ralph, you can use my channel to stream on it. Now that would be
There you
way
go.
more than most people could do. On the other hand, Ralph isn't really going to talk bad about him when he's streaming on his channel. That's kind of a backdoor way to stuff a sock in Ralph's mouth for a little bit. Like, hey, he's a nice guy. He's letting me stream on his channel. Even though we're streaming on his channel because he struck you in the first place. But that's the kind of true repentance, even if it's not genuine, but it looks real enough that most people will take it.
Yeah, but what he's trying to do now is just not going to work. It is just not going to work.
Oh yeah, and he's already dropped, what was it?
I mean, his view counts took a little bit of a spike just from people clicking on it just so they could shit talk him in the comments. And that's the other thing. Like, his plan now seems to be to just weather the storm. Like, just ignore all these comments, ignore all the tweets he's getting and all. But the problem is, can he really do that? The whole reason he's in this mess is he couldn't handle the bants.
It's not working. He's already lost 5,000 subs.
I mean, even if there's a light at the end of this tunnel, even if there's a certain amount of time where he just weathers it and it goes away, can he actually reach it, is the question. Even if this plan would work, can he make it work? Because, again, the whole reason he's in this mess is he couldn't handle the bants. So how long till he shoots himself in the dick by turning off comments or ratings or something? You know what I mean?
Which is honestly probably the best thing he can do is just leave the internet. Like, he gets completely wiped out of the internet, and he just goes home and plays with his daughter. I mean, honestly, he needs to take a break at least, if not say this isn't working and I need to go do something else. But I don't know if Matt can leave it alone.
Nope.
I don't know if he can leave it alone. He's his own worst enemy right now.
And I mean, he is, like, you almost want to feel bad for him because he's so fucking pathetic, but then he's like such a shithead. It's like he's like Movie Bob. You know, you almost want to feel bad for him until you remember what a reprehensible shithead he is.
Yeah, although honestly, I have way more pity for the guy than I do for Movie Bob.
Well, yeah, I mean, Movie Bob is pure fucking evil, but
Movie Bob is one of those. He could be a villain if he had money, power, or intelligence.
yes, the only thing that keeps Movie Bob from being actually dangerous is that he is so weak of body, mind, and spirit that he can't act on his evil.
Which that's a lot of people out there. Any kind of villain has to have something in order to make them a villain.
Yeah, they have to have this almost element of virtue about them, you know?
There's a lot of evil people
even
out there.
Even if that virtue is just a self-discipline, you know?
Anyway, that's mostly what I had to say, but thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Oh, I'll be recommending a few comics later on. Archaven's come out with a really cool one called, I think it's Ghoul Gunner, about a vigilante who's silently taking out mob bosses.
Cool.
So
when
that hits, I may end up getting it for you. Just because I think you'll probably like it.
Nice. All right. Well, good talking.
All right.
Doesn't look like anybody else want to call in. Probably take a look at the chat and then maybe wrap up the stream. Looks like people are just back and forth arguing about Mike Enoch and shit like that. I don't want to talk about fucking Mike Enoch. Like, haven't I wasted enough time talking about Mike Enoch in my life? Mike Enoch is a heroic defender of white females. Yeah, it sure is. Somebody says, don't end the stream, Bechtloff. Well, I got nothing else to talk about. So, that's probably going to be it for me tonight. So, if you like the show, if you like the content, do consider checking out the tip jar. The PayPal, Patreon, Amazon wishlist, all that good stuff. Helps me keep doing what I'm doing. And, that's about all I got for tonight, folks. I want to thank you all for listening. Bechtloff out.